see we are live. Okay. I remember this young lady, she had just gotten vaccinated. She's African American, and she goes home and she talks to her grandmother. Grandma, you need to be vaccinated. Grandma says, absolutely not. I don't trust the healthcare system. I don't trust any of these people. I'm not going to get vaccinated. The young lady says, well, Mom, the lady who vaccinated me is African American. She says, well, in that case, take me, I want to get vaccinated. The message is important, but so is the messenger.
Data and science and study have shown that African American individuals are much less likely to be enrolled into a clinical trial. So the EQB Med initiative is going to address this major and critical problem in our community.
EQB Med initiative positions us at Texas Southern University to actually have access to innovative and breakthrough clinical studies. We do a lot of work to increase awareness about clinical research participation, but without an opportunity to actually open access for individuals to participate and to build trust in clinical trial process, we are very limited.
Pharmacy is a very important team in communication with the community. And we are not only have a PharmD program, we also have a PhD program. With that, we have more outreach to the community.
We are the #1 producers of African American pharmacists in the state of Texas. Pharmacists are a significant part of the healthcare team. They're able to immunize patients. They're able to help them in a variety of health settings per se.
TSU had the RCMI support back in 1980s, especially in terms of research infrastructure. So the students and scientists can conduct most cutting edge research, especially in the area of drug discovery and development.
In 2024, the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences celebrated its existence of over 70 years. We lead a lot of initiatives advancing health equity, training community health workers, providing continuing education for community health workers, as well as for our pharmacy and health administration students.
In this initiative, we are going to partner with UTMB, Yale University, and Morehouse School of Medicine. We will be able to gain more experience and resources and guidance on how to recruit for clinical trial and how to conduct clinical trials.
So this clinical research initiative under the EQB Med funding mechanism allows us not just to provide opportunities for clinical trial participation for community members, but it creates a platform for us to train the next generation of pharmacists that will be culturally competent, that will have an high level of awareness of engaging with community members to promote the concept of diversity and equal representation in clinical research participation. Hello, my name is Veronica Ajawale Mwema. I am a professor of pharmacy practice here at Texas Southern University, where I also have the privilege to serve as the Assistant Vice President for Clinical Translational Research and Community Engagement. I am the founding director for the TSU Health Mobile Unit Initiative, and I am very excited to share this initiative with you. The TSU Mobile Health Unit is a 40-foot, fully equipped, wheelchair-accessible, telehealth-ready mobile unit with a screening mammogram room, clinical services room, and a community engagement room. There is an expandable awning on both sides of the TSU Mobile Health Unit with a large screen outdoor TV on the outside panel for community education. This allows us to engage with community members outdoors while also providing various clinical services inside the unit. The back panel of our mobile units allows us to highlight our different programs and sponsors. We are extremely delighted to share that the TSU Mobile Health Unit has capacity to bring cancer screening and health services directly to you in the community.
The community engagement room in our mobile health unit provides a private space for patient check-in as well as community engagement activities. This room also features a TV screen that allows our community members to view educational programs while waiting to receive clinical services. Our wheelchair-accessible mammogram suite is equipped with a state-of-the-art mammogram equipment, allowing us to offer high-quality 3D screening mammograms in the community.
Our state-of-the-art clinical service room on the unit allows us private spaces to provide clinical services and preventive health care services, including high blood pressure screening, hemoglobin A1C for diabetes, and cholesterol screening, as well as lab sample collections that can be stored in our hospital-grade refrigerators or freezers. The room is also telehealth ready, allowing us to connect several rural communities with clinical services seamlessly.
We can also engage with the community about different clinical research initiatives, including enrollment in our clinical research registry, evaluation for interventional or non-interventional studies, as well as educating the community about various clinical research programs.
This private space allows a community member to engage with a clinical pharmacist, answering medication-related questions and providing the needed support to improve health outcomes.
The TSU Mobile Health Unit initiative also positions TSU to lead the way in civic engagement, research, and training of future healthcare professionals and social support staff who have a deep understanding of the community and a commitment to advancing health outcomes in the community.
This is TSU Mobile Health Units, bringing cancer screening and health services to you.
Hello, my name is Veronica Ajewale. I'm an Associate Professor of Pharmacy Practice and the Director for the Community Engagement Core of the NIH-funded Center for Biomedical and Minority Health Research here at Texas Southern University. I want to say a big thank you to you and the community members for joining us for today's program. We are really excited that we will be sharing a lot of great information alongside the experts of speakers and panelists that will be leading us in today's conversation. So please have your questions ready. We would have an opportunity to take your questions after today's presentations. So thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to our continued collaboration. Thank you. Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for making time to join us. It is right at 12 o'clock, and we are super excited to have you all join us for this session, which I can also call a lunch and learn. I hope, some of you might be having lunch, doing other things, but I definitely appreciate you all for joining us this afternoon. Over the next 90 minutes, we will be discussing a very important topic titled Chronic Kidney Disease, Causes, Stages, Risk, and Prevention Strategies. This session is also offering a 1.5 unaccredited community health worker credit. My name is Veronica Ajowole Mwema, and I have the privilege to serve as the Director for the Community Engagement Core for our center. Next slide, please. The Center for Biomedical and Health Research here at Texas Southern University is funded by NIH, and this is under the leadership of our program directors and principal investigators, Dr. Esther Olale, Dr. Jay, and Dr. Liang. And here at Texas Southern University, we have a commitment to continue to put in, multi-pronged approach that would increase innovative research projects, bringing excellent resources with one outcome of improving health with advanced biomedical innovation and community engagement. So we are very delighted to welcome you all to our program this afternoon. Next slide, please. When we look at the community engagement core for our center, we have three major aims. The first aim is to identify and address the health concerns of the community, and which is one of the reasons why we're having this program, because this topic is one of the topics that from survey responses, the community members said they would like to hear more about chronic health diseases also, and that is why we are here this afternoon. Number two aim is for us to increase research participation in the community. And our third aim is to provide cultural competency and research dissemination. And we do this not just for the scientific audience, but also engaging with non-scientific audience. We are very active on mass, prints, and social media. And we just want to say thank you all, for connecting with us as we continue to implement the goals of our center. Next slide, please. One of the things that we do, as when you look at the background for the community engagement core, is that we have the privilege to work closely with community members, and we do so by connecting with federally health qualified centers, working closely with community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, healthcare system, industry partners, as well as elected officials in hosting health education events, just as we are hosting this afternoon, increasing participation in clinical research, ensuring engagement on all forms of media, social, mass, and print. We also provide educational programs to researchers and the community. And one of the things that we do so well at is ensuring that we are very intentional in building trust, receiving feedback, and staying responsive to the need of the community. We do this through surveys, focus groups, Sci-Cafe sessions, as well as through community engagement studios. Next slide, please. This is the team. It takes a whole village to be able to put this together. And again, I have the privilege of serving as a founding director for the Community Engagement Core with support from amazing and incredible team members, faculty, and staff all across different units in the university. On the call with us this afternoon, specifically, we have Monique and Akila, as well as Brittany, all three of them working behind the scenes to support this program, and shout out to you all for supporting every aspect of this program. Next slide, please.
One of the things that we've been able to come up with creatively in the community engagement core is establishing a clinical research registry. In May 2025, we were able to launch this clinical research registry under the Center for Clinical Research and Translational Sciences. And this center really has the goal or the major vision for this center is to be able to bridge that gap regarding clinical research participation in the community. And within the past year that we've established this center, we've had over 300 individuals in the community who have indicated interest in participating in clinical research, among which more than 140 are fully consented about clinical research participation. So this is the right step in the right direction. As you are there, listening on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, feel free to scan the QR code. Our team is also dropping the chat message. Some links are being dropped in the chat message. Feel free to click on those links if you are interested in joining this clinical research initiative, so that way together, collectively, we increase access to clinical research and be part of the individuals who are bringing forth innovation and creativity in medical practice. Next slide, please. One of the clinical research initiatives that TSU recently launched, I am very excited about this particular initiative. This is led by Dr. Poon and Dr. Tyler, and this project is titled Check, Monitor, Control, and this is a randomized clinical research and the first of its kind to be registered on clinicaltrials.gov. I am giving a virtual, round of applause to Texas Southern University and to the leaders, of this initiative, for supporting this program. And this is particularly looking at hypertensive disorders in elderly population. So please feel free to scan the QR code. Again, our team is dropping the links in the chat box if you are interested, or if you know someone that might be interested in participating in this clinical research initiative. Next slide, please. Once again, I want to welcome you all, saying a big thank you to our speaker, Dr. Adrogay, to our moderator, Dr. Ebaid, and our amazing panelists who you'll be hearing from shortly. But we are very delighted that over the next, 1 hour plus, we will be focusing on chronic kidney disease. And we truly hope that, this session would help increase understanding about the causes, stages, risk, and prevention strategies for CKD. Next slide, please. Again, thanking you all for joining. Everyone is currently online. Please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box. The link to our survey is also posted in the chat. We're offering a 1.5 community health worker CE credit. So if you would like to participate or receive this credit, go ahead and fill out the survey and the evaluation form. We are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube. We invite you to share the link, spread the word. This is great information, and we don't want to keep it as the best kept secret. So please share this information with your community, with people that you're connected to, so that together we can all live a healthier lifestyle. Next slide, please. And I want to say a big thank you to our partner for this event. This is Houston Methodist Hospital. Houston Methodist is known for excellence in patient care, research, and education. With a strong focus on innovation and over 800 clinical trials, it delivers advanced treatment across specialties. Guided by value of integrity, compassion, and excellence, Houston Methodist prioritizes patient-centered care and community health. So we say a big thank you to Houston Methodist Hospital. Dr. Adrogay practices at Houston Methodist, and one of our collaboration, which I will be highlighting in the next slide, is supported through Houston Methodist as well. Next slide, please. This year is one of the programs that I have the privilege to work on with my amazing colleague and friend, Dr. Amy Waterman. We are both multi-PI on this AIM Ahead funded grant, and this particular grant is looking at establishment of a Texas cardiometabolic and kidney consortium, specifically looking at improving medication compliance and access to transplant for African Americans and Hispanics. This grant has three major aims, but the third aim is the one that leads itself towards the community. And I have the privilege to have been able to work closely with Amy and our amazing group of experts from different entities to be able to implement this particular initiative. Next slide, please. Under the third aim of the AIM Ahead grant, we came together with the goal of developing focus group sessions because we wanted to be very intentional in listening to individuals who are impacted by chronic kidney disease. We successfully conducted 6 focus group sessions over the past couple of months. And in those focus group sessions, we've identified a couple of barriers that we are currently developing interventions, by listening sessions in community engagement studios. Next slide, please. On the next slide, this here is showing the barriers that we identified during our focus group discussions. Number one, being the issue around education and awareness in the community around chronic kidney disease. I can't wait, to hear what Dr. Adroge is going to share with us, regarding the awareness regarding this particular disease. And the second barrier we came across is communication and information. The third barrier, system navigation and access. Number 4, being treatment understanding and safety. And then number 5 being the psychosocial factors around chronic kidney disease. So these are the barriers that we've identified over the past few months, and we are currently working together with our team through Community Engagement Studios to develop interventions that we will be submitting again for future funding, so that way we can implement the interventions that we co-developed together. Next slide, please. Okay, without further ado, I am going to move on to introduce Dr. Adroge. Dr. Adroge is a board-certified nephrology specialist in kidney and pancreas transplantation, dialysis, and complex kidney disorders. He completed his medical degree at Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center and his residency and nephrology fellowship at the University of Minnesota Medical Center. Dr. Adroge is an associate professor of clinical medicine at Houston Methodist Academic Institute and serves as the program director of the Transplant Nephrology Fellowship in the Charles W. Duncan Department of Medicine in affiliation with Weill Cornell University. Dr. Adroge's clinical interest includes kidney transplants, hemodialysis, peritoneal dialysis, AL amyloidosis, hypertension, kidney stone, and other forms of chronic kidney diseases. Dr. Adroge practices at Houston Methodist Hospital and is actively involved in clinical work and research. He is fluent in English and Spanish. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming up Dr. Adroge. I will pass the mic over to you now. Thank you.
Good morning. I don't know, are you supposed to see me on video?
Yes.
Okay, I'm hitting my video thing and it's not allowing. It says the host has to not undisable it. So you guys are disabling my video. So
Okay.
I'll start until you guys has asked you to start my video.
Okay, let's see if we can do
Okay,
that.
there I am. Okay,
All
good
right.
morning, everybody. Thank you very much for that very kind introduction. And in the interest of time, I'm going to just get right to it. I have clinic at 1 o'clock, so I'm going to talk. And then if you guys have questions, I'm going to have to break off at 1 o'clock to take care of patients. So we've already done my introduction, so let's move on, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay. I always want to thank our outreach coordinator, Joe Sharp, for everything he does with outreach for transplant, because without him, we could not do what we do. And there's his email if you want to talk to Joe about outreach, about coming and visiting Methodist and getting to know more about our transplant program. Next slide, please. So anytime we're going to talk about something, I think it's really important to define what we're talking about. So I like to define things simply and not complicated. That way I can understand it better. And if I can understand it, I hope other people can understand it too. So the chronic part of chronic kidney disease is 3 months or more. That's it. 3 months or more, you have chronic kidney disease. So then, do you have kidney disease? The first thing is estimated or measured kidney function of less than 60 mils per minute, or 60%, if you like percentages. And if the function is more than 60, you need either an abnormal kidney ultrasound or protein in your urine. I'm going to pause there for a second. So by this definition of kidney function less than 60 or an abnormal ultrasound or protein in the urine, approximately 14% of the US population has some amount of chronic kidney disease. The last census at the beginning of this year showed that we had 349 million people in the United States. So 14% of that is approximately 48 million people have some form of chronic kidney disease in our country today. Next slide. The stages, we can look this up, but if they tell you, oh, you have this stage, it depends on what your kidney function is. So G1 is over 90, 60 to 89, 30 to 59, 15 to 29, and less than 15. So some people can have stage 5 chronic kidney disease, kidney function, say 10%, but they're not yet on dialysis. So sometimes it's kind of confusing. So if you are told that you have chronic kidney disease by anybody, just ask them, what is my stage of chronic kidney disease? And then you can kind of put yourself in these categories. So obviously dialysis and transplantation. And if you look at the most recent publications, which they're always a couple of years behind, there's approximately 550,000 people on dialysis in the United States and approximately 250,000 that are walking around with a functioning kidney transplant. And we do approximately 25,000 kidney transplants per year, every year. Next slide, please. So this one we've already talked about. Next slide. Here, sorry, go back one thing. Thank you. So the estimate obviously has already increased. As I mentioned, it's about 14% of the population, and African Americans are about 4 times more likely than whites to end up needing dialysis, and Hispanics are 2 times more likely than whites to need dialysis. So it's important that the African American and Hispanic population are overrepresented in CKD and ESRD, and Hispanics and Pacific Islanders especially have more diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus, as you guys know, also just known as diabetes, is the #1 cause of end-stage kidney disease in the United States. Next slide, please. So what contributes? I kind of stole my own thunder. Diabetes is #1, high blood pressure, obesity, genetics, and there are specific genetic factors that can predispose you to chronic kidney disease. And now there are commercially available, very easy to do genetic tests. There's a panel that you can do with a cheek swab that gives you 300 genes that may tell you that you are at increased risk of chronic kidney disease. So everybody says, well, I can't change my genes. Why do I want to know if my genes are going to give me chronic kidney disease? And I tell them, because you can't change your genes, but you can control your weight, you can control your blood pressure, you can control your diabetes, you cannot smoke, you cannot vape, you cannot do ibuprofen, Advil, Aleve in high doses, avoid IV contrast and chemotherapy. That's a whole different thing. But anytime you know what your chronic kidney disease stage is, and anytime you know that you are predisposed to ending up on dialysis faster than someone else, that is very powerful information for you and for your doctor and for your care team. Next slide, please. So as I said, control diabetes, blood pressure, lose weight, or avoid gaining weight as you age. This is very important, and I weigh myself every morning, and I hold myself accountable to the same thing. I tell myself I need to try to age healthy and age gracefully, and I do that by taking care of myself and trying not to gain weight. So if I tell my patients, you owe me weight loss, I can't also be a hypocrite and not lose weight myself if I have it to lose. Aspirin, ibuprofen, Advil, Aleve, Bufferin, Excedrin, anything with ibuprofen is okay in small amounts in short term, but long term, large amounts, and usually if you exceed 400 or 600 milligrams a day, every day for months and months, you're probably going to end up in trouble with your kidneys. Smoking and vaping or never starting. And these are important things that you can share. You know, I'm not sure the demographics of the people on the call, but if it's parents or grandparents, you can tell them, hey, you know what? I smoked as a kid and I wish I wouldn't have smoked because it turns out that that was causing kidney trouble. The other thing I tell people is that become an organ donor, either a live donor or a deceased donor. You know, sign your ID or go to the DMV and sign up, because those are very, very important things. Once you pass away, you know, you don't need your organs anymore. So, you know, I like to say heaven does not need your organs. All right, next slide, please. So these are some statistics for 2025. The ones of 2026, I can update those a little bit, but we've been doing kidney transplants now 63 years. Last year, we did over 800 transplants, and last year, we actually did 337 kidney transplants, half of which were live donors. So we did more than 300 livers, more than 100 lungs, more than 80 hearts. We did 4 kidney pancreas and I believe 6 heart lung. So the absolute numbers don't matter in the sense that you don't have to memorize who does which, but right now, Houston Methodist is the busiest multi-organ transplant program in the country. And we are one of the top 1 or 2 of liver transplants, and we're in the top 10 of kidneys. So we're doing a lot of transplants. We would prefer to not have to transplant so many people. So I really think prevention of chronic kidney disease by the things I mentioned are much better than treating the end stage. Next, please. Next slide. This is a little bit of a complicated slide, but let me just walk you through it. After 2021, allocation of organs changed a little bit. And all this means is, say your donor hospital is the thing that says donor hospital. That hospital is going to preferentially share organs with 250 nautical miles from the donor hospital. And what happens there is that if you want to have the greatest chance of getting a kidney transplant, you want to multi-list in as many kidney transplant programs as you can that are far away from each other, so you're not pulling from the same donor hospital. Next slide, please. Okay, and then one more slide. I think I have. Okay, there you go. Okay, so this one shows a shark in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, because as you can see, 250 nautical miles from the Methodist Hospital, we have a big chunk of it where the sharks live. So we're not going to get any human organs from there, or shark organs for that matter. So what we tell people is get listed at one transplant center of your choice in Houston. We prefer Methodist, but that's up to you, and many times it's up to your insurance. And then find another transplant program outside of Texas that you can also get listed and also pull organs from. So that's a way, and this is completely above board, completely legal. There's 290 transplant programs in the US that do kidneys, and about 130 that do kidney and pancreas for those of you who have insulin-dependent diabetes. So the more you know about this, and the better educated you are, the more likely you are to get a solid organ transplant, unless, of course, you have a live donor, in which case you do not wait. Next slide, please. Okay, so We like to say that you would probably not benefit from listing in multiple hospitals in the same local allocation area. Allocation area is that circle that I showed you. It's because any priority you would get from being at a hospital close to the donor would be much the same among transplant centers that are also local to each other. So I guess proximity in that point of view does not help you. Next slide, please. So living donor transplant, as you guys have heard, is superior to deceased donor. It has the highest 1 year, 5, and 10-year graft survival. The average is about 20 years. It's also the fastest route to getting off dialysis or preventing dialysis, because if you have a live donor, you do not wait. The other thing we tell people is if you have a donor and you know for a fact they're not your blood type, that doesn't matter, because if they're willing to come and donate to someone else, someone else's donor is likely willing to donate to you. So we have donor swaps that we work on all the time at Methodist. Next slide, please. Survival outcomes, we've talked about this a little bit, but this is a little bit more granular data. Living donor transplant, as I said, is a better outcome. So at 5 years, you can expect over 73% of people who have had a deceased donor transplant still be off dialysis. That number is almost 85% for 5 years of a living donor. If you go 10 years, you still have 46% chance of not being on dialysis from a deceased donor and over 60% chance from a live donor. I know not everybody has live donors, so a deceased donor is actually a very, very good option. And even if you're on dialysis, what I tell people is some people, they go on dialysis and they say, well, okay, I'm not going to take care of myself. I'll just wait till I get a transplant and then I'll start to take care of myself. And I tell my own dialysis patients that that is not the way I would approach it, because when you come to transplant, you want to be as healthy as you can to be able to live as long and as well as you can. The other important thing is any healthy adult can be a live donor. You can be non-related. We like for people to be at least emotionally related, but we don't necessarily have that. Sometimes you have an altruistic donor that says, I would like to donate to anybody, and then that can start a donor chain. Live donors, they're related by blood, and then altruistic donors, as I mentioned, they just want to give and they just give to the next person on the list. Next slide, please. So living donation is safe for the donor. This is the other thing that the recipients say, I'm not going to put my family member at risk. And I would say, well, they are getting a surgery. That is correct. But what they do get is they get emotional connection with you. They get to keep you alive longer, and they will get a full physical exam. They will get labs, and they will be seen by a team that's separate from the recipient team. So you can be sure that they will be evaluated by someone else who will be very objective and say you can or you cannot donate. So that's very, very important. Plus, the cost of that entire evaluation is under the insurance of the recipient. So the donor does not come out of pocket. So it's safe, as I said. The other thing that's important to know is a donor, if they end up needing a kidney transplant themselves, and that's 1 in 100,000, they go almost to the top of the list. And you say, oh, is that real? I had one of my patients who gave a kidney to her. Can you go back, please? Back one, please. I had a patient who gave a kidney to her dad, and after 25 years, she herself ended up on dialysis. She was listed on a Monday and was transplanted on a Thursday of the same week. So you do get priority if you donate, but it's very, very rare. Risk of death, as you see, is 0.03%, very, very low. Other risks to the donor are similar to any other surgery: pain, infection, pneumonia, blood clotting, anesthesia risk. So it is a surgery, but there's a lot of benefits. And some people, I've had sisters come in together, and one sister said, I don't want you to donate to me. And then the sister who wanted to donate said, but I don't want you to die and I don't want to live without you. And then the recipient paused and said, okay, let's see if you're a candidate. Thank you very much. So never underestimate the emotional connection and the emotional benefit that your donor will have. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so these are some living donation statistics. Almost 250,000 people have donated a kidney in the United States, and over 1.5 million people worldwide. 6,000 people donate kidneys every year. 99% of donors say they would donate again. 99% of donors never develop kidney troubles after donation. And if you are in that 1% that does, you are treated very differently in a very positive way, and you go to the top of the list for an organ. Next slide, please. Some other facts versus myths. Myths, kidney donors will have to take lifelong immunosuppression or other medications. Not true. Long-term medications are not needed. A kidney donor can no longer exercise or participate in sports. Not true. Regular exercise is typically able to resume within 4 to 6 weeks. Female donors shouldn't become pregnant after donation. That's also not true. Pregnancy is safe. Donors should wait at least 3 to 6 months after surgery. Donors must follow a strict diet after donation. There's no dietary restrictions after donation other than healthy and well-balanced diet. Next slide. So, first, I want to ask if you guys have questions, or I'm not sure if we're going to wait till the end, but my question is to you guys, have you guys considered being an organ donor? Even if you have chronic kidney disease, you could still donate your lungs, your heart, your liver, your skin, your eyes, your core. So I know that sounds a little gruesome, but if you've passed away, you don't need your organs. I'm an organ donor. If you're wondering if I am. I am. So and I'll tell you, you make that decision and you take one less decision out of your loved one's hands. And so they don't have to worry about, oh, would he or she want to donate? You already told them, I'm doing this. You don't have to worry about it. You can figure out whatever else. Thank you very much. I think that's all the time I have. I'll be around until about 1. So if there's anything else I can answer, or I'll just be quiet. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adrogué, for that informative session. Every time I get to listen to you, I learn something new. It's definitely a lot of lessons, just looking at the risk factors and also the misinformation out there about, the chronic kidney disease itself, as well as transplantation. So we are very grateful to you, for taking time this afternoon. I know you do have to be in surgery session in a couple of minutes, but I will bring up stage the panelists, and then we will take your questions first, so that then you have time to transition before you go to OR session. Next slide, please. Couple of reminders here for everyone that has joined us. We are very grateful. Thank you guys for joining. Please continue to post your questions in the Q&A. That is the mechanism for us to take questions, especially if you have any questions for Dr. Adrogué. It will be transitioning out in maybe 15 minutes or so. So please post those questions in the Q&A box, then we'll be able to take those. Survey links are also posted. Please complete the survey. We want to hear your feedback about today's session, as well as letting us know whatever topics you would like to listen to in our upcoming sessions. For community health workers, we want you to please complete the survey and evaluation, as well as the sign-in link. That is the way for us to be able to issue your credits to you. Your credit will be issued within 5 to 7 business days from today. We are live on all social media platforms. Please share, spread the word so that we can have more people engage with us on this very important topic. I'll be bringing up stage our panelists now. Next slide, please. It's my pleasure to bring up stage Miss Alexis Cornell. Alexis Cornell is a kidney transplant recipient and advocate, sharing a journey to inspire and educate others. She serves on the National Kidney Foundation, serving Texas Advisory Board, and the NIH Apollo Study Community Advisory Council. Alexis speaks nationally on transplant wellness, medication adherence, and healthy living, with a focus on African American community. In 2021, she published journal Your Journey to Health and founded Alexis Cornell Speaks, delivering talks at expos, hospitals, and fitness venues to empower patients and promote kidney health. Alexis, we are very delighted that you joined us this afternoon. Next slide, please. Next here we have Marisol Cisneros, who is a spouse of a kidney transplant survivor. Marisa is a dedicated professional, wife, and mother, known for her compassionate leadership and commitment to serving others. As a spouse of a kidney transplant recipient, she brings empathy and advocacy to families navigating complex medical journeys. Marisa is recognized for her organizational skills, clear communication, and the ability to coordinate teams and operations effectively. She leads with perspective, gratitude, and calm confidence, inspiring trust in both her professional and community roles. Marisa, we are very delighted that you've joined us this afternoon. You can come off camera and also come off mute. Thank you. Next slide, please. Here we have Virgil. Virgil is very special to us in this center. Virgil used to be our program manager for Community Engagement Core until he transitioned into a different role. But Virgil is truly, genuinely committed to advancing health for the community. So Virgil, a big thank you to you for joining us as an advocate professionally and personally concerning kidney health and other health-related initiatives. Virgil is joining us this afternoon in his capacity as a kidney dialysis patient. Mr. Virgil Elkins Jr. is a resilient advocate and community leader living with chronic kidney disease. Diagnosed with end-stage renal failure in college, he has undergone multiple transplants and remains on dialysis. A graduate of Florida A&M University with Masters of Public Administration from Arkansas State University. Virgil is active in his fraternity, community service, and public speaking. He shares his journey to raise awareness, inspire hope, and encourage resilience, particularly within the kidney disease community, and he is honored to engage with the TSU health community. Mr. Virgil Elkins, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It is always a pleasure to connect with you. Okay, next slide, please. Here we have our moderator, Dr. Adlia Ebaid, who is a clinical pharmacist and an assistant professor here with us at Texas Southern University. Dr. Ebaid is a board-certified clinical pharmacist and assistant professor with over 20 years of experience in chronic disease management and expanding care for underserved population. A Texas Southern University alumna, she is board certified in advanced diabetes management. She has held leadership roles at San Jose Clinic, including Director of Pharmacy Services, Chief Clinical Officer, and Interim CEO, where she led initiatives to improve care, access, and quality. Dr. Ebaid now educates future pharmacists at TSU, and she is committed to advancing health outcomes and chronic disease prevention. Dr. Ebaid, it is a pleasure to have you. We are very delighted that you have joined us this afternoon. Next slide, please. Okay, I would get off camera and get off and stay on mute, and I will pass it over to Dr. Ebaid for the panel discussion. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ajwali, and thank you all for joining us today. It is a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you, Dr. Adrogi, for that very informative presentation. I know you have a very tight schedule, so we're going to go ahead and start with a couple of questions for you. Dr. Adrogi, you did mention in your presentation, the data shows that 1 in 7 U.S. adults have chronic kidney disease. What critical gaps in early detection and screenings have you personally observed in your practice among patients living in Houston and in our surrounding communities?
I think one of the big things is we used to not be able to get laboratory data and an estimation of the kidney function up until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But now almost every time you get your labs done, it will give you an estimated kidney function. So if it falls in the abnormal category, you should be, or you and your doctor should be flagged. That's one thing. And one of the very few good things that the COVID pandemic did is it forced labs to release to the patients many times before the doctors get the labs, which I find very frustrating and the patients get very nervous about. But so the patients already have their labs and they can see, hey, this flag is up. Why is that? And so I think the reporting of chronic kidney disease stages is something that there was a gap, and that gap has actually improved. That's one thing. The other thing is many people, if you're doing a study in chronic kidney disease, you may have to collect 24 hours of urine to see how much protein they are spilling in a 24-hour period. In clinical practice, that is no longer needed. You can do a spot urine, meaning a 5 cc sample that you can do, that we do every single time someone is going to come to see me in my CKD clinic or my transplant clinic. I ask them to get labs, and we look at urine for albumin over creatinine. And any amount of albumin over creatinine over 30 is abnormal. And that is part of the definition of chronic kidney disease. So that is something that is getting better, but is still a gap. Because I think if people want to know, do I have chronic kidney disease? It's estimating of kidney function and a spot urine, not a 24-hour collection, because nobody likes to collect 24 hours of urine. So those are two big things. And another thing that I see and that I actually prescribe to my patients, which is easy to prescribe but difficult to do, is weight loss. And I know there's a lot of new drugs out there, but I'm a big proponent of intermittent fasting. And there's definitely many different ways to do it. The data is very clear. What I like about intermittent fasting is that it is free. And the only cost is you're going to be a little hungry. You may have to coordinate your medications, but I tell people you should try and fail intermittent fasting first, and then try any of the weight loss drugs that you want. But I think those are the things. I think people need to understand that a lot of our problems can be solved with, hate to say it, but a little bit of suffering. It's no one wants to be hungry, but and I'll tell you, I do intermittent fasting. I lost 25 pounds over 2 years. And yeah, the first couple of months you're hungry and you're cranky. But after that, you tell yourself you're not on a diet. This is just your new life. So I think these are big educational pieces that I think in some places are still missing, but in some places we're getting better.
Yeah, those lifestyle modifications can definitely change things. Thank you so much for that. You definitely honed in on being a donor, and something personally I've never really thought about as being a living donor, but your presentation clearly highlights that living donor transplantation offers the best outcomes. Based on your experience, what advice would you give to help more people feel informed, confident, and open to become living kidney donors?
So I think the first thing is the recipient needs to embrace it, and the recipient needs to have a very open conversation with their family, because if they have a family that wants to donate, I find the first barrier is usually the recipient. The recipient says, under no circumstances will I allow anybody that I love or know to put themselves at risk for me. And as I mentioned in my talk, a lot of times people say, do you understand our life is worse if you're not in it? And it's also more difficult with you on dialysis. You can't work. You don't feel well, you're cranky, we're driving you. I mean, we just need, at a time where people don't want to speak their minds, you just need to be very frank with each other. If you love somebody and you're taking care of them and you're their driver to dialysis and you're supporting them because they can't work and they feel awful because they're on dialysis, you just have to say, look, you know what? Let's look at this as a business or as a scale. Over here is your suffering, our suffering, and over here is a little surgery and then you off dialysis. So I think the recipient is the biggest the biggest hurdle in my experience. Then the next one is some people still don't trust that we are not going to take care of the donor. And the donor team is completely separate from the recipient team. And we on purpose are not allowed to talk to each other about the donor. And I'll tell you, if the donor starts the process and wants to do it and they change their mind, they can stop. Nobody's going to force anybody to do anything. So I think those are the two components. And then again, prevention, healthcare maintenance of yourself. Don't smoke. This is donors and recipients alike. Don't vape. If you've gained a lot of weight, lose it. If you haven't gained a lot of weight, congratulations. You're the exception. Don't gain it. And take care of yourself. And we have to talk to each other very openly about this. This isn't, I'm not judging anybody because they think one thing or the other, or they've gained weight over the years. Everybody gains weight over the years. But what are you going to do about it now? Those are the things that I'm very plain spoken, and sometimes patients don't like it and they don't come back, and okay.
Yeah, sometimes the most important things to hear are the ones hardest also to kind of comprehend. Yeah, I understand. That kind of gateways into my next question. We have a very captive audience of community health workers who are out there, most accessible to the public. And, for them, what are the most practical steps they can take to better support individuals at risk for CKD before they reach dialysis?
That's a great question. And that's what I don't want to see people needing dialysis. I don't want to see people needing a transplant. But what people can do is what they're already doing. Take care of the diabetes, take care of the high blood pressure. Get a home blood pressure monitor. I actually believe home blood pressure is more than the blood pressure that we take in the office, because people rush in. We're all both specialists and primary care. Everybody's being asked to see more patients in a shorter time. And the patients are not getting less complicated and they're not getting younger. So what I try to do is gather as much information as I can. And I tell people, go buy a home blood pressure monitor for $100, one that fits on the arm, not on the wrist. Take your blood pressure at home, bring that to me, we'll use that. So home blood pressure is very important. Ensuring that diabetes is screened for, taken care of. Checking your cholesterol, not smoking, quitting smoking, discouraging smoking in kids, young adults, discouraging vaping because we still don't understand what that does, but it doesn't do anything good. So those are the things. And the simple things that primary care doctors can do is screen the person urine for albumin and creatinine. That gives a wealth of information. Screen the kidney function and help us with all of the healthcare maintenance stuff. PAPs, pelvics, mammograms, colonoscopies. And this may sound weird, but I prescribe to my CKD patients immunizations, because I tell them, you get the flu, you get RSV, you get shingles, you get any sort of preventable disease, your kidney function may go from stable at 30 to unstable at 10. And now I'm talking about dialysis. So people, with COVID, it became a big political thing. And I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about medicine. And I'm talking about take whatever immunizations that we have that have been proving to be effective and protect yourself from getting sick. Because anytime you go to the hospital, the odds of you having acute kidney injury, meaning an abrupt drop in your kidney function, go up. So immunizations, in my opinion, are part and parcel of what primary care doctors and patients themselves can do to prevent chronic kidney disease and slow chronic kidney disease. Not in a direct way, but I hope I've made myself clear why that is.
Thank you so much for that. And there's a couple of questions in the Q&A, I know, before you get to your patient.
Sure.
And so I can get to the rest of the panelists. Is there an age limit to receive a kidney?
So that's a great question. So the short answer is no, but the longer answer is, depending on which place you go, the wait lists are between 6 and 10 years. So if you are over the age of about 70, we strongly encourage you to bring a live donor, because at Methodist, you're not going to get offered a transplant until you're 80. So what I tell people is, there is not an absolute cutoff as long as you're healthy enough to receive the organ. And what I like to tell people, it's not the age, it's the miles. Like you see some classic cars, I don't know who likes cars, but and a classic car is like a 1969 Mustang or whatever. And then someone has immaculately taken care of it, always in the garage, oil changes, tires changed, belts. And you say, oh my God, this looks brand new, but it's from 1969, but it looks brand new. That one is older, but has very few miles. Or you get someone else who has not taken care of themselves and like is a very fast car that has been driven really hard, not changed the oil, and all of a sudden they come in and they're 35, but inside their body, they're like 70. And so I would rather transplant the person that's 57, like that's classic 69 Mustang, that has taken care of themselves, because I know they're going to do better than the 35-year-old that has like destroyed themselves and then now fix me, doctor. So that's that. Yeah. So it's really not the age, it's the condition in which you are when you come to transplant.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Dr. Adrogi. We really appreciate your time. I'm going to jump to the panelists here, and we wish you best with your patient at 1 o'clock.
Thank you. I'm going to listen for a few minutes, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Alexis, I have been dying to hear your story. Can you share your journey to diagnosis and what are some early signs that you experienced?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My situation was a little bit different. I didn't really have any physical symptoms at all. I was at that time what most would consider living your best life. I was working, I was going to school, I was doing all of these things. But what happened was I went into for my yearly gynae exam. And as part of that exam, she used to always do a urinalysis. And so she did the urinalysis. And when they called with the results, she was like, you have a little protein in your urine. So she had me come back in about 6 weeks. She was like, let's just check it again in about 6 weeks. I came back in 6 weeks. It was still there. So she said, let's check it one more time. I came back. It was still there. So they sent me to see a urologist. They did a cysto. They didn't find anything. And he was like, well, maybe you should see a nephrologist. There's probably nothing, but we just want to be sure that it's nothing. And I didn't go. I have to say I didn't go because I felt fine. I didn't have any symptoms. I was working out. I didn't have hypertension, no diabetes. I ate right. I did all the right things. So I didn't go. And probably about 6 or 7 months later, I woke up with horrible, horrible back pain. I went to work, and after about 2 hours of being at work, I ended up in the emergency room. They thought that I had back pain, just regular back pain. But when I went to follow up with my primary care doctor, he realized I didn't see the nephrologist, and he looked at all my tests and was like, you're going to go now. So they sent me over to see the nephrologist. By that time, I had already lost quite a bit of my kidney function. It took about almost a year. I went to Mayo Clinic. I was diagnosed with fibrillary glomerulonephritis. They recommended a round of chemotherapy. So I did that. Shortly after that, the disease got a little more aggressive after that. And in 2011, I crashed into dialysis like most individuals do with kidney disease. So I crashed into dialysis, and after about 11 months of dialysis, I did get my transplant. I was listed in Chicago. I know Dr. Andro mentioned multi-listing. I did do that. So I was listed on the list in Chicago at Northwestern, and then I multi-listed at the recommendation of my nephrologist in Wisconsin. And I got on their list in April, and I got my kidney in July. So it's been 14 years now. I'm doing really well. The kidney is doing great. I will say I had COVID 4 times, and each time I got COVID, my kidney function dropped dramatically. So they had to kind of watch that. That's actually one of the biggest issues that I have with the immunosuppression therapy. It makes you more susceptible to things that ordinarily wouldn't bother you. So I tend to get, especially since I moved to Texas, a lot of, sinus infection, ear infections. I've had pneumonia a couple times, respiratory tract infections. So I have to really try to make sure that I stay on top of that. But really the only thing that I had was the protein in my urine. I didn't have anything else going on. And had that not been part of her regular testing, I may not have known. So I'm really thankful to them. I had some really great doctors at the time. And because of that, I was able to be diagnosed fairly early, even though it was aggressive. But I had really great doctors that kind of kept me on track and made sure that I did all the right things. So I was able to be transplanted. So like I say, it's been about 14 years now.
Wow, that's incredible. People really underestimate those routine visits and what can come from those. That's life-changing, life-saving for you. Thank you for sharing that story. Wow. Wow. So, Marissa, thank you for joining us today. From a caregiver's perspective, your story is a little bit unique. What has your transplant journey been like for you and your family?
Hi. It's been so it's only been a year from his transplant. His diagnosis was very, very not extreme, but it was from one day to another. So he actually had or has Alport syndrome, which is a chronic. It's not your typical high blood pressure or diabetes. This is just a gene he was born with. And at COVID, he got COVID. We thought he was getting better, and actually Father's Day of 22, he's in the hospital, telling him he's at stage 5 renal failure. And it was, let's put the port in for your dialysis. And so it was very hard all at once. And so it really changed everything for us. He was determined to still work, continue life. We have two kids and busy schedules. But it's been hard, but it's been a great journey.
Sorry, you're making me teary-eyed because I think oftentimes in healthcare, a lot of focus is on the patient, and we often neglect the caregivers. But the journey is equally difficult for the patient, and even sometimes more difficult for the caretaker because no one's taking care of the caretaker. Yeah,
I still get teary-eyed myself. Yes, because we're still having to run the household, the kids. It's just everything. But I would do it all over again. He's doing great. He's thriving. We actually had a live donor. Share your story. Share their story. You never know who's going to listen. The donor for us was my boss. And it's just been incredible.
Wow, I can only imagine. Wow.
And I could only speak wonders for Methodist Hospital because that is where we had his transplant. It's a hard journey as a caregiver. It's a very hard journey, never knowing how a small little cold can turn into pneumonia. It's the in and out of the hospitals. But again, I would do it again. I would advocate for him. There was times where he was in the hospital and they weren't giving him the proper medication, so some of his labs weren't coming back, and of course, when you're in the hospital, you can't bring in your own medication. So it was a lot of advocating for him to get the proper health care.
Well, he's very lucky that he had you with him on this journey, and he has you with him on this journey. So thank you for sharing the story, Marissa. We appreciate you being here as well. Okay, so Virgil, can you
I think the doctor has a question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see his hand up. Yes, of course.
Hey, it's Dr. Rodriguez. Just a real quick comment. So I really appreciate everything that I've heard so far from Ms. Connell and Mrs. Cisneros. But Ms. Cisneros brought up the genetic testing because Alport's is a genetic disease that can be detected at any age by a cheek swab. So if he has it, it's not a bad idea to get the kids tested. Just that's important. But so
Yes.
genetic things, if you have that predisposing thing, you tend to take better care of yourself if you know. So that's important. And then the other thing is she brought up the caregiver exhaustion, and that's what I was trying to balance with. Yes, you don't want me to donate, but to be honest, I'm watching you die before my eyes, taking care of you, taking you to dialysis. So I'm not sure which is worse, right? So anyway, so I just wanted to echo, and she very eloquently pointed out what I was saying about screening. Screening is not just blood and urine. I think in 2026, screening is genetic testing. You can do, there's multiple companies, you can use whoever you want, but genetic testing for chronic kidney disease, there's at least 304 different genes that are already known. So I think that's a very important point of my clinical practice, but I think it should be standard of care for at least nephrologists. It may be too much to ask of the primary care doctors because they do so many other things. But, and again, immunizations were also underscored. So again, not a political thing. This is a medical thing. Get your immunization so you're less likely to die of an infection. They don't prevent you all the time from getting the infection. But like I was immunized, I got the flu really bad this year, but I didn't die. So that's what I tell people. You're going to get the flu. Okay. But if you survive, the immunization did its job. So thank you.
That's great advice. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so Mr. Elkins Jr., can you describe for us what living with dialysis is like on a day-to-day basis? We know you're very active in your community, your family, and your social life. So can you share with us what it's like living with dialysis on a day-to-day basis?
Hey, so good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for having me. It's good to see you guys again. Day-to-day operations for me include waking up in the morning, taking my medications. I've taken on the activity of working out frequently. I get up 3 in the morning, go to the gym, try to sweat a lot so I don't have too much fluid on me going to treatment because that's one of the downfalls. If you have too much fluid on, it could really affect the heart and all. And I work full time as well, and so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, after I've worked out, after I've gone to work, 8-hour days and everything, I go to treatment. And treatment is usually from 4 till 8 p.m. So I call it my other part-time job, you know. And then usually come home, my wife, she'll have dinner ready. If it's not ready, then she'll meal prep. And so, having that support system, working with my time, that time management, all of these things really help out, the whole dialysis experience. I've been back on dialysis now about 13 years. And so I've learned to treat it as just another part of life, so to speak. I won't allow it to get me down and allow me to stay down and have a negative mindset, I'll say. As long as I've learned to manage the time and activities around it, even being able to travel, I'm able to get through it. It's not something I enjoy, I'll say that much, but I've learned to take on, the adversarial issues of it and move forward with it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure it's never easy, but you're managing it very well. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate you sharing that story. We kind of want to talk about, resources in the community. We chatted a little bit with Marissa about caregiver support. So as a caregiver, what types of resources and support would you like to see in the community, not only for patients, but specifically for caregivers like yourself?
I think just support groups, just, a group of people going through the same thing, knowing that you can just go and talk to them, because yes, I talk to family, I talk to friends, but they really didn't know exactly what we were going through, just basically someone to talk to. So just a big support group. I think that would have been one of the biggest helps for me. Just knowing that I can talk to somebody that knew exactly what I was going through.
Did anybody on the panel have access to a support group? Just
I
curious.
did. I did.
Usually just friends and family were my support group, you know. And a lot of times you have people who may not necessarily in your friend or family group who understand what you're going through. So sometimes it's good to have a listening ear, but also have that empathetic partner, someone who totally, knows what you're going through. So, but I never had access to a support group, and I don't hear much of them being mentioned nowadays either.
I know my husband, he actually found because he did PD dialysis at home. So I know he had on Facebook a group where he would go and ask questions, but I never really found anything as far as for a caregiver to, to go and ask questions or just somebody to talk to.
Yeah, that really understands what you're going through. Yes, that's good. Yeah. Alexis, what were the most important resources that helped you navigate treatment and recovery?
I would say for the treatment, I partnered with my doctors. And I think that's very important. And I had, quite a few of them, especially after transplant. I have quite a few doctors that I have to follow up with. And I really partner with them. I write down, questions before my appointments with them. I make sure that I keep up on those appointments. My transplant coordinator has been absolutely amazing. Any questions that I have, I can shoot her an email or send her a message through MyChart. She gets back to me right away. I know there's been a couple of times where I've had like medication issues where either they've run out or there's been an issue with insurance or something like that. And I'll reach out to her and she helps work me through that. If I have questions about a supplement that I'm interested in taking or a food that, I'm not sure if I can eat, I shoot her a message. They're really amazing at helping with that kind of stuff. Some kind of unconventional resources that I found over the last couple of years. As soon as they cleared me after my transplant, I started working out with a trainer. And over the years, I've had, quite a few trainers. And if you find a really good trainer, they're a really good resource too, because if they're a really good one, share your story, let them know kind of what's going on, where you are, some of the medications that you're on, that kind of stuff. And the trainers that I work with actually did some research and they were really able to help me with what I was eating. They were very considerate as far as the exercises that I was doing to make sure that, I had a lot of joint issues because I'm on prednisone. And so they worked around all of that. So I was still able to get the great workout in, but they were really sensitive to my specific needs as a transplant patient. And then last year, I spoke at another panel discussion for the National Kidney Foundation, and I met a registered dietitian who specializes in transplant and chronic kidney disease. And she is absolutely amazing. I've been working with her now for probably about 9 months. And I've learned so much about, I always thought I ate really healthy. It's not always easy to stick to some of the things that they recommend, but she really has helped me kind of, maneuver around, making things a lot more healthy for me so that I'm getting the maximum benefits out of the things that I'm eating. And there are certain things that I really love to eat and I know it's not really good for me, but I've learned how to make some of those things at home and make them a little bit more healthy. So just those kind of things, and again, don't be afraid to ask questions. I know a lot of times people think, you go to the doctor and you're just going to listen to what they say. You got to really partner with them, ask those questions, and don't be afraid to do that because they're there to help you. And so, those are some of the resources that I've been able to, come up with over the years that have really helped me a lot. So.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, that your healthcare provider is there for you. And so to definitely leverage them to your benefit. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I think, Virgil, what do you wish more healthcare providers or community health workers or public health practitioners really understood about dialysis patients so they can be better advocates?
I wish there was more information on research. A lot of times, as a dialysis patient, we are looking to survive and just maintain, where you have some people who actually want to thrive. Again, me taking on the new lifestyle of fitness and wellness, there aren't too many sports nephrologists out there. And then even your nephrologists sometimes aren't too aware of um, other ways of exercising and all. You get the basics. Hey, go and walk. Don't do this, don't do that. And you kind of want to know why. So wish there was more research, information on how to work out. Just diving deeper into the things that affect the body. And then another thing that I'm a little apprehensive about is just pushing medicine all the time, and just want to learn more about it. So, if there were support groups, then I mean, they have support groups out there. I wish that there was informational sessions out there as well for the
Yeah.
current dialysis patients. So again, me being on dialysis for the past 13 years, I've had several doctors. I've done a lot of research and I've taken that information back to the doctors. And then another thing I wish there was more help and advocacy on would be on discussions with work, employment, as well as also with insurance. A lot of people we read or we have access to insurance, but we don't know all of the benefits of it, and then you have to wait a whole year until you get to open enrollment to figure that out, what's going on. So, all in all, to sum it all up, I'll say I wish that there was more information on advocacy as well as on research.
I'm sure Dr. Ajwali is taking lots of notes. We could have an entire resource fair, symposium, all-day symposium, with these suggestions and ideas. So I'm sure she's taking a lot of really good notes for us to be able to kind of bring some really good services to the community and those with, undergoing dialysis or with CKD and for caregivers as well. I think this is very good information. Thank you for sharing. So Alexis, I'm just kind of curious, what advice would you give to others who may be at risk for kidney disease or who were just recently diagnosed?
I would say, if you're not sure, do some research, know your risks. Again, partner with your doctors. If you think you might be at risk, talk to your doctor, about testing, possible testing. It's always good to have that whatever the base testing is, so you know where your kidneys are so that you have a place to follow from. If you have, you definitely want to follow whatever recommendations that you're given by your doctors. If you're given, if you're on medications, you definitely want to take those, especially post-transplant. It's very important that we take those medications the way that we're supposed to, and keep up with them. No one knows your body better than you do. So if you feel like something's wrong, something's not right, again, check with your doctor. And don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. A lot of times we think that we have to do it ourselves. We don't have to. So, don't be afraid to ask questions, ask for help. And the bottom line is, it was mentioned earlier, we definitely want to take care of ourselves, try to do the right things for your body. And everybody's body is different. What works for one person may not work for the other one. Just like exercises, one person can do, HIIT or like really extreme workout, and the other person, they may only be able to walk or, lift very light weight. So don't look at what someone else is doing. Try to create what works best for your body, and try to find resources to help you do that. But it's really important to, again, I can't stress enough, because like I said, I have really amazing doctors and I've partnered with every single one of them, and they have really helped me get to the point that I am today. So, don't be afraid to do that, and make sure that you follow instructions and follow whatever it is that they tell you, whether it's lose weight, whatever it is, make sure you follow through with that.
Yeah, and keeping those appointments. I'm still wrapping my head around how this was just a routine appointment that you went to and you got diagnosed, right? Like I'm still kind of wrapping my head around how many times people miss those routine visits.
Yeah, I was very good. That was one of the good things and one of the benefits. I'm very good about, staying on top of my appointments and making sure that I'm scheduling them and doing what I'm supposed to do. But like I say, it just so happened that time they did catch it, but had I not went, it would have never been caught. So it's really, really important.
Yeah, it's a blessing for sure. Okay, so and Marissa, the caregivers, I think that we can talk all day about what we can do for caregivers. So what message would you share with other caregivers who are supporting their loved ones with kidney disease?
I think, like I said earlier, one of the biggest things was share their story. Just get their story out, because you never know who you're gonna, whose ear you're gonna catch, and they'll want to help, as far as living donor. If it wasn't for me talking to my coworker in the kitchen, because she was going through a similar situation with her dad, as far as, the kidney disease, and he was, anyway, so we were just talking, and my boss came in, and just, you just never know whose attention you're gonna get, and they'll want to help. And so yes, just share their story, advocate for them. And if you think it's hard on you, it's 3 times harder on them. But you just got to lift your head up and walk hand by hand with them.
Be that guiding light, right? Be that support. Yeah. It's definitely, it takes a very strong person to be that role. So thank you guys very much for telling your stories and sharing it with us. I know it's never easy to have to walk through that again, but telling your story, I think, helps thousands of other people, again, have a voice and be able to kind of navigate their way through this uncertain territory. And we do have a few questions and answers that we are going to jump right into, if you don't mind. If at any time you feel uncomfortable answering any of the questions, please don't hesitate to just kind of pass the baton on. Some of them are specific, so I will kind of just jump into those first. We have a person specifically asking, Virgil, if you're on the transplant list.
Yes, so a little background. I am listed at UT Southwestern as well as Baylor St. Luke. But Dr. Droge, he signed off already. But last year when we worked together, he told me he fervently spoke and said, "Go get a second opinion," because I have what's called high PRA levels, which means that I believe my blood is highly sensitized, which makes it hard for me to get a kidney transplant. So he suggested I look at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles, California. And my wife and I traveled out there maybe a couple of weeks ago. My wife and my best friend came with me, and they have a program that actually works with highly sensitized patients. And so we're waiting to get that feedback from them to see if I can be accepted to that program. And so once, God willing, I'm accepted to that program, I'll be listed out there. And once you go through that program, I believe it's a 5-week treatment program, and then you have a higher chance of getting a transplant within 6 months. And there are only 2 centers in the US that has that program. It's Cedars-Sinai Hospital and then a hospital in Chicago, Illinois. But yeah, so I am currently been listed, do my annual checkups and everything every year. So just hopeful and prayerful.
Well, we'll keep you in our prayers as well, Virgil. So hoping that comes through. We also have another question. I'm not sure if you guys can help answer this. Our physician's off the call. And so it says, what can we do to slow the progression of the disease if it was identified at stage 2? This patient is 73 years old. Do you guys have any advice for a stage 2 patient at 73?
I'm not sure. I mean, because I know that there's compared to when I got sick, there's so many new things out there. I know there's some new drugs. I'm not really as familiar with them, but yeah, it's hard for me to say because I'm not a physician, but I know that there are some new treatments out there. I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
not sure
okay. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead
when.
and put on my chronic disease hat for a second and take off my moderator hat. I am definitely going to advise that you seek advice from your current primary care provider, because like Alexis said, there are some really good oral medications out there that prevent the advancement of CKD, and they're very effective. But depending on what your current comorbidities are, other diseases, it'll depend if you're a candidate for those medications, but they're really, really good. They are called SGLTs, and so Farxiga and Jardiance are the names of the drugs, but definitely consult with your physician if you're a candidate for those medications, because they have shown to be very, very effective. Sorry. And as well as also trying to control the other things that Dr. Adrogi mentioned, right? So if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, if you have excess weight, if you smoke, I think controlling all of those aspects will help also slow down the progression of the disease. So the lifestyle factors, the other chronic diseases, and then looking at the medications that will help. But consult with your provider for sure.
I know they would tell my husband a lot diet, which is, it's amazing. Once he was diagnosed, people were always like, oh, well, we want to help, can we, do meal trains for you? And I'm like, that's so hard, because I can tell you the things that he can eat instead of the things that it was just easier for the list was so long of the things that he couldn't eat. So I know diet does help if you're not looking, along with the medication, but diet was one of the biggest things that I know helped him a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I think diet and weight loss, I think that's a big part of it. Does anybody know what the recovery time for a living donor is? I don't have that answer.
Our living donor was out of work for about 6 weeks. I think if I remember correctly, at 5 weeks, he was already running. He's a very physical man, and it wasn't long. I mean, it was your standard, if you're going to go in for an operation, recovery time. We were lucky he didn't have any complications, but he was out of work for about 6 weeks.
And I think Dr. Adrogi did mention his presentation that it depends on the physical fitness and health of the donor as well. So there's a lot of factors at place there. Yes, thank you for that question. Any specific food or recipes that you guys think help keep you healthy? Any suggestions?
I like to do meal prep, especially for work, because there's a lot of junk at work. And sometimes, it's hard to kind of stay away from those things. So I try to make sure I do meal prep. And when I do that, I try to prep my snacks. I love carbonated water. So I make sure to take that with me. I try to stay away from sodas, things like that. I love salads. And like I say, I'm a foodie. I like to go out to eat. If I find something, I go to a restaurant, there's something I really like, I try to recreate it at home, just a little healthier. So I think meal prep is going to be key, especially if you're trying to watch your weight or you're trying to lose weight. That's going to really help you out, in that sense. And like I say, if you really need help or you're really not sure where to start, now they have all these programs where you can get a registered dietitian and you can do it virtually. And they actually list out like what their specialties are. And surprisingly, there's a lot of them out there that say they specialize in, chronic kidney disease and that kind of thing. If you need help, that's a great place to start, is, what I think. And that's what I use. So
I purchased a couple of cookbooks, specific for chronic kidney disease. So that's what really helped us a lot was those kind of cookbooks.
I think staying away from processed foods is a big one. And then also knowing how to read labels, knowing what your daily value intake should be, and then talking to a dietitian or your doctor is about that information. But definitely stay away from the packaged foods, the fast foods, the high salt foods, all these things for sure.
Okay, very good. Thank you guys so much. I'm gonna just answer a couple more questions here about blood pressure in the Q&A chat so we stay on time. And I will turn it over to Dr. Ajwali.
Wow, if I had a better way to give a virtual applaud, okay? This has been such an organic and very meaningful conversation. And I do want to say a big thank you. I know Dr. Adrogi already dropped off the call, but for all four of you and Dr. Ebaid for such an amazing moderation of this session. Thank you so much for sharing. You know, you guys, you did not have to do this, but I am just very grateful. Marisa, please receive my virtual hug, okay?
Thank you.
Honestly, Alexis, I mean, you guys are amazing. And Virgil, it is so good, so good to see you. So good to see you thriving and continuing to do the great work in the community. Yeah, so thank you all so much. And to the audience, oh my goodness, we have over 100 attendees, and I know there are people on YouTube and Facebook as well who are not, able to necessarily share questions with us, but thank you for such a meaningful engagement. This is such an important topic. And a lot of seeds have been sown. Dr. Ibed, you are right. Right? When it comes to, okay, where is one of the next places that myself and the team will continue to look into when it comes to, funding mechanisms, so that way we continue to provide real evidence-based information and resources to the community. That's why I love my partnership with Amy Waterman. She's probably on the line, or some of our team members are on the Zoom call or listening to us. So Amy and I, working with the Kidney Foundation and several other partners, we are currently, working on grant applications. So you guys pray for us, okay? Keep us in your prayers, keep us in your thoughts. And if you find opportunities, please share with us, because we've not only identified this as an issue in the community, but we want to be there to provide the support, the resources, the trusted hand holding to the community. So Marisol, Dr. Ebaid, Virgil, Alexis, thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the community. Thank you very much for sharing with us. I will take the next few minutes to just take a couple of announcements as we wrap up for today's session. Next slide, please. Okay, and one of the things that the panelists mentioned was clinical research, right? I didn't have to say that, but it's something that comes up every time we have an event, because clinical research there's still a big gap, when it comes to research on specific disease states, just like chronic kidney disease. That is why, again, Texas Southern University has that privilege to be that trusted voice with the community around clinical research. So April 18th, by the grace of God, we will be having our clinical research and engagement conference. You see all the amazing faces, all the great experts, individuals from different areas that will be joining us for that. I would like to see every one of you in person, if your schedule allows, or online on Zoom, every other platform. This is going to be on Saturday, April 18th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Location is Richard and Meg Wakely Community Center here in Houston, Cypress area. Please save the date, scan the QR code. We are dropping the link in the chat box. Pre-register to join us either in person or online to discuss more about clinical research and engagement in the community. Next slide, please. May is another month where we will be focusing on mental well-being. So we have partnered with Baylor College of Medicine. We have the privilege of bringing another great expert, Dr. John Sanders. He would be discussing mind over stress, tools for emotional and mental well-being. So no matter what the disease state is, no matter, even those that don't have any comorbidities or any chronic disease, having that, mental state of, wellness is very important. So please save the date, scan the QR code. The link is also in the chat box. Pre-register for that. It is going to be Tuesday, May 19th on Zoom from 12 to 1 by God's grace. And I look forward to seeing you all there as well. Next slide, please. This here is reminding us of the clinical trial that I mentioned earlier. This is looking specifically at hypertension management in older African American adults. During Dr. Adrogre's presentation, during the panel discussion, you saw hypertension coming up many times. With chronic kidney disease, it's like, okay, chicken versus egg, what came first? Hypertension is definitely one of those comorbidities that can lead to chronic kidney disease, kidney failure. So if you know, or if you would like to participate in this clinical trial, it's a randomized clinical trial where we are looking at hypertension management for older African American adults. Please scan the QR code. The phone number is on the screen. Please spread this information around. And I am very excited about this study because this is the very first study that Texas Southern University is leading as a clinical research. If you all don't know, TSU is going to clock 100 years next year, okay? Drum roll. We are on our way to clocking 100 years. And for the very first time now, we have a randomized clinical trial registered, and this is addressing hypertensive disorders among elderly population. So please spread the word, engage and enroll in this as we continue to lead and encourage healthier living in the community. Next slide, please. A couple of upcoming events. We already looked at the survey. Thank you for engaging, those that have attended our events in the past. We already have several monthly events lined up from June 2026 all the way to May. So these are the events that we would have upcoming. So be on the lookout for updates on the specific dates, location, and additional information on all of these upcoming topics. Next slide, please. Okay, again, reminding us of the clinical research registry that we have at Texas Southern University. This is also another great way for you all, and everyone in the community to participate, to be a part of innovation, be a part of, the trust that we are building in the community around clinical research. Scan the QR code or click on the link that is in the chat box. And if you will be willing to participate in this clinical research registry. Currently, we have over 300 community members with over 140 who are fully consented to participate in clinical research within our registry. Next slide, please. Excited to share again that our mobile health unit is already delivered. It is here on ground in the Houston area. We are currently identifying collaboration, mobilizing support and resources to get this mobile unit operational. So if you would like to partner with us, of financial resources, of operational resources, please feel free to reach out and we would love to engage with you. This mobile unit has the capacity to serve over 4,000 individuals per year. So a lot of resources coming out through Texas Southern University. Next slide, which I believe is my last one. Okay, final reminder, complete the survey, please, because that helps us to know, everything that you've learned today. We are very intentional in listening and, making sure that we stay responsive to the needs of the community. We are funded through NIH, and our commitment to the, research dollars that we have is that we will stay responsive to what the community wants us to do. The only way for us to know what you what the community wants to hear is when you all complete the survey. So please do that. And then for community health workers, please complete the survey, complete the sign-in sheet so that we will be able to issue you your credits. We should be issuing that within 5 to 7 business days after you complete the survey. And that brings us to a close of this session today. Again, saying a big thank you to all the panelists, to the speakers, to everyone on our team, Monique, Brittany, Akila, Constellation X. Thank you all for supporting this event. And to the community, thank you so much for joining. And we look forward to seeing you again in our next events. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hello again.
Thank you.
My name is Veronica Ajewale. I want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you for joining us for today's program. I am very certain that you have received a lot of great information that you will put to practice as we all grow together to become a healthier community. Thank you to our speaker and our panelists. Thank you for sharing today's content with us. Thank you to our locations. Thank you to our interns, our volunteers, to our sponsors and our funders. Thank you also to the staff of our program, the faculty and the leadership of Texas Southern University for supporting us in making today's program a success. Most importantly, I want to say thank you to each and every of you, the community members. We appreciate your support. We do not want today's program to end just with today's event. We want you to continue to collaborate with us and engage with us. Our social media platforms are located at CECTX Southern U. On those platforms, you will find engaging information from today's program and all the other programs that we have going on in the Community Engagement Corps. So we implore you to continue to stay connected with us, engage with us as we move forward together in building a healthy and a wealthy community. Thank you for joining us.